Hey guys, this is ArtisanTony, and this is my video response to MadBadVoodo and his call for Kentucky Colonels. I guess you have to be able to say it first. This is one of those awkward videos, I think, for anybody. Nobody wants to really toot their own horn. So what I'm going to do is approach this, and I've been wanting to do this anyway. I want to make sort of a history of myself for my kids. And just briefly, let me explain that. My mother always had sort of the reason I always talk about my mother is because our father was not around. So my mother always had sort of a mysterious past. Before she met my father, she was involved with a fella from overseas, and he seemed to be involved in some sort of intelligence gathering or something. I don't know. This is what's mysterious about it. And so she never could talk about it. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that I never have really understood my mother's past. So it kind of inspired me to make sort of a historical record for my children, so that someday, if I'm not around and they ever want to know, maybe there will be something there for them to go back and look at. So I guess to make this really brief, because I'm sure you don't want to listen to several hours. I'm 49 years old. When I was younger, my mother always said I wanted to build things. She claims that I said I wanted to be a builder, when I was 4 years old, which I don't remember. But that's what she says. But she also, I do remember this, she was always good about teaching us to help others when we can. I was inspired early in life to determine what my occupation was going to be, and I always knew it was going to be something in the building industry. So when I was in high school, I had an opportunity to go to a vocational school for half of a day for 2 years. And I'll start inserting pictures here so that you don't have to look at my ugly mug the entire video. I was actually went to a vocational school for half a day every day, and ended up getting 1,050 hours of training in building trades. And during that time, we would actually go to a job site, and our class was built 2 houses. We built 1 house each year. So by the time I left high school, I had a pretty good knowledge. During that period in my vocational training, I was sort of a crew leader of the bunch. It's kind of funny, I was nominated by my teacher to go to a bricklaying contest, which I did not win because I was too slow. And I'll speak to that issue in a little bit about quality and how I developed my philosophy of an artisan over the years. The point is that I tried to develop my profession early in life. And I think it was Mark Twain who said, make your vocation your vacation. And that's one thing that's always kind of stuck with me throughout life, is that and if there's any advice I want to give to young people out there, make your profession fun for you, make it something you want to get up every day and do, but also become the best at it. Create a demand for yourself for that profession, and try not to listen to too much of the current pop culture that's dependent on government. Getting into politics, got to move on. But anyway, always do your best, and make your profession fun, and always be the best at it, and never go back. Never give in on your standards. Always develop a high set of standards for your profession and ethics, and never go back on those. So anyway, the point to that is that I try to develop my training early in life, because you always try to think ahead, and you think, well, I can, if I do well in life, I can get to a position where I can help others. Right out of high school, I had a framing crew, but soon I learned of this opportunity through an organization that was starting up called Inner City Ministries, that was a nonprofit to help people in a specific neighborhood, downtown Chattanooga. It's an old historic neighborhood. And the organization, our office was in an old Southside Y building, which was very cool. And they hired me to come in. And remember, I'm only, 19 or something. So this was quite an experience to go through the neighborhoods and visit with and these were mostly elderly people. Visit with them, determine what their needs were, develop volunteers. During the week, I would develop the scope of work, get organized volunteers, and then on the weekends, on Saturdays, we would have a work day. And they would, all the volunteers, and usually it was church groups, would come in and we would work on the homes. So that was a neat experience. And I'll insert some photographs on this too. I've got one picture of where a newspaper photographer came and did a story on one of our work days. And I didn't even know he was, taking pictures. And here I am, driving nails at my young age. But and then I'll put some other pictures in of some of the volunteers that came from all over the country to help us during the summer on their vacations. So I did that for a couple of years. I guess I've always been kind of a grassroots guy. I love getting in on the beginning of things. And a couple of years later, I happened to be part of the group that started Habitat for Humanity in Chattanooga. And I actually got to go down to Americus, Georgia, and meet Millard Fuller. I think this was in 1986 or 87. And I spent a week down there. So anyway, I came back from that experience. We started, we got our nonprofit status, and we started building, our first home. And the first home in Chattanooga for Habitat was a little Cape Cod looking house for a lady. She was living in a school bus on the back of Signal Mountain, and she had 6 kids living in the school bus. So my job there was to, again, organize volunteers during the week, get materials lists, get drawings together, and then on the weekends, supervise the volunteers for the work. And I did that for a couple of years. When we started Habitat, we all agreed that we were going to be sort of interim people, positions. The president, I was the construction coordinator, volunteer coordinator. There was only 3 of us that were actually being paid. We had an administrative assistant. This is kind of neat. This is a newspaper ad I saved. Let's see, what's the year? 1987. Yep. This is an article about our first house in Chattanooga. There's me. I was chubby even back then, wasn't I? Here's me. But the organization needs dozens more volunteers if it is to reach that goal, according to construction coordinator Tony Griffey. Right now, Griffey said, groups from our area churches take turns working Saturdays. Those churches are Signal Mountain Baptist, Brainerd Baptist, Signal Mountain Presbyterian, Signal Crest Methodist. I can't believe I've kept this over all the years, but it's, you get kind of proud of things, and you're proud of this type of thing. So, that's the one thing I would urge young people to do as you do these types of things. Save your mementos, because later you can look back on it when you're an old man like me. One thing I want to mention is that through my ties with vocational training, I had my old vocational school making wall sections in their shops and bringing them out, and we would dedicate a house to them, and they would get to build the house just as I did, but when I was in vocational training. So that was a neat tie back, you see. Already I was starting to try to develop some history there with my training. So again, that was sort of a grassroots. I really enjoyed it, and then it was an interim position for me. The organization grew, and then I moved on. And the organization I moved on to was really neat. Another grassroots organization called Chattanooga Neighborhood Enterprise. It was actually a model housing organization. I was one of the first construction managers there. We actually went out and helped develop the neighborhood associations that are now successful in Chattanooga. The organization was charged with providing loans for low-income people and also to develop home ownership. So we would take sort of rental people in rental housing and help them become homeowners. And granted that some people ended up not being able to afford it, but for that was their chance for home ownership. And a lot of those people, are still in those homes, I'm sure. But the organization as a whole made a positive influence. We built one neighborhood, and I'll try to get some aerial pictures of this one. It was like a 50 homes neighborhood in the inner city that really brightened it up. So I think overall it was a positive experience. And again, it was working, with a nonprofit. From there, I think I went back into sort of a self-employment situation, working for myself. Then a few years later, I had the opportunity to go to work for an architecture firm that was just starting up, Chattanooga Studio. Through that experience, did some, volunteer work, and then from that experience, I gained enough experience in architecture to get a position at another larger firm. I actually became an associate there. The reason I mention this is because one of the things I did tying back to Habitat again when I was in architecture was that I took our office and we did a volunteer project for Habitat. So forget about one thing, back between Habitat and the architecture firm, I did some volunteer work for the Red Cross, where by this time I had gotten some certifications. I was a certified building inspector, preservation inspector, and had some other certifications through the Department of Energy, and all that was through Chattanooga Neighborhood Enterprise. But after that, I had helped the Red Cross do some flood assessment damage. We had some really bad flooding one year up in Ray County, and I was able to go spend a week helping do flood assessment damage so they could get national flood assistance, emergency funds. I know this is turning out to be a long video, but I'll try to move ahead. At some point, I wanted to, I really wanted to build my own home, and I was married at that point. I asked the architecture firm that I worked at if I could take a year off. I know that sounds crazy, but and it turned out that they couldn't afford to let me go for a year. So I decided at that point that was a sign for me to start my own company, Artisan Construction. I finally reached a point to where I felt like I could help others now, because at some point you're making a little bit of money and you can start to help other people. So we started seeking out volunteer efforts to give back to the community, and one of the things I found through some people I knew was an organization that's called Emily's Power for a Cure. And this lady, her daughter died from neuroblastoma, and so she started a foundation, and one of the fundraisers they had was called the Pink Bandana Ball. And so they asked me to help with that. I was glad, because we were looking for a volunteer organization and a way to give back to the community. So what they asked us to do is to build a Western style storefront. They wanted to be able to have a silent auction area and have it secured, because people would donate, expensive items. So we built the storefront. It's probably, 60 feet long and 10 or 12 feet tall. And so for the past 4 years, we have been helping out with that. Each year we go, we assemble it, and then at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, we take it back down, and we're all dragging around, and we take it back to the storage area. One of the other things I've tried to do with my company is give back. Also, as you know, I have children, and again, this is one thing I'm trying to do for them, is to inspire them to help others. So I've helped out with our school, my son's school, building things like helping to renovate the library at the lower school. The school actually has a an elementary school and a middle school. While Alex was at the lower school, we built some shelving and helped with the library renovation there. And then when he moved on to the middle school, we actually did a couple of $1,000s worth of shelving for that library. We also built some stage stairs. We were at a performance one time and the stage stairs were crazy. They were just life-threatening. And I knew we had to do something about those, so we changed those out. So those are just a few examples of what we've tried to do with artisan construction. My current thing is trying to help Alex establish himself as a young man. And all of this, I haven't really left out my other children. Barrett's sort of went through, he's my oldest son, he's 22. He sort of went through the same evolution as Alex has. You haven't seen Barrett that much on YouTube, because when I started YouTube, Barrett was sort of already probably, I guess, 18 or so. So he was sort of already grown at that point, but he went through sort of the same evolution as a young man as Alex did. A great young man, never drank, never smoked, never did drugs. And I know too, as a parent, trust me, kids, we know as parents, we were young too once. One of the things we ran into with Alex was he's gifted, and he's made straight A's ever since he's been in school, and so this is 6 years now. One of the things that concerned me about him was just becoming a total geek, so I wanted to get him involved in Cub Scouts. So turns out I became the den leader for the Cub Scout den, and I was proud of that because I led 7 young men to their Arrow of Light, which is the highest honor given in Cub Scouts. And currently, I'm an assistant scoutmaster with this Boy Scout troop. And here's my Class B shirt. I'm wearing it right now. I really want this video to be about a message to youth. I want the youth of America to really understand that the current culture, the current internet culture, is not as much of a reality as you think it is. The true reality is that people go to work every day, they try to do the best that they can. I guess mainly what I'm trying to say is, try to break yourself away from the internet culture. Think about your future. Think about your education. Think about what you want to do in life. Set yourself up so that you can help other people when you get older. While you're developing your profession, set up a set of standards. When I started artisan construction, I set a set of standards for my company and a set of ethics, and I never have gone back on those. There are certain materials we will not install. There are certain designs we will not build. We operate with the highest ethics. All of our costs are itemized to the penny. The customer always knows up front where all of the cost is going to go. And you just have to set a high standard for yourself. If you do that, when you get older, people will respect what you do, and there will be a high demand for what you do. And then you can be successful, and then you can help other people. So my message to young people right now is to try to break away, because I know I see this culture. I see it. I've watched it evolve. My first computer was an old compact luggable, and I've watched the internet evolve, and I've seen the youth in our country evolve into sort of having an alternate reality. And this is why I budget Alex's time, and he voluntarily budgets his time. He's smart enough to know that it's a trap, that if you don't break away from this culture, the internet culture, and get yourself out in the woods, get yourself healthy, in your mind and spirit, believe in something, believe in a creator. Don't be fooled by the current culture of science, which is its own religion. This is part of, believing in a creator and having a set of standards and ethics. It's all part of a philosophy I've developed as an artisan. At some point in your life, you will look back on your life and say, what have I done? I'm not sure I've accomplished what I wanted to, but I really wanted to inspire my children first, and then inspire other youth after that, because I am responsible for my children first. But in the meantime, if I can inspire other kids, that would be great.